going on, y'all? So today I'm just preparing for a miniature exhibition that's taking place locally. I'm actually trying to get things together last minute. So I've done several miniature canvases like this, but I actually gave away a few of them, kind of kicking myself in the shin for it, but it is what it is. So I've got this one that's gonna go. It's a little night scene. Most of my little ones are just black. This one I've already got completely framed. Turn it that way. And it's also a little nocturne scene. So I'm going to try to whip out one more, but I'm just going to be framing them or trying to pick out different frames for them. I've got three options with me currently. And I am not entirely sure which one I'm going to go with because I have zero taste in frames personally, like miniature frames as well, especially. But what I would do is keep it more towards the dark side, especially for the night scene. This one, considering I have to get that one framed, especially those two are definitely going in. That one's one of my main concerns. So I'm thinking probably this one or this one, just because they're darker. Definitely not gonna go with this guy. This seems more like something that I would have like a beachy scene or maybe like a woods type scene. I don't know, but definitely not what I have right now. And then likewise with this one, pretty much the same. Good evening, Sheila. It's good to see you. Saw that cat was beating up on your husband. That was hilarious. She'll come around. So I think I'm just gonna go with this one. It's kind of plain, but it's got all of his hooks still in there, so I can get away with it. So it's got little plugs on the back. I don't know if y'all can see it, but if you turn it sideways, they got little juts just sticking out right here on all four sides. So that's what I'm doing. Just making sure I carefully put those guys down to put enough pressure to keep it down. Because last time I was messing with one, it broke the frame. I don't know why. I was being gentle, but I guess I was not gentle enough. All right. So now we've got our second guy ready to go. Oh, yes, she is a wild one. They're typically the best ones whenever you get them calmed down, when you get them accustomed to their love. Oh, yeah. Then I think I've got this one that I'm going to be painting tonight just to prepare. I'm just going to be putting these up for like 100 and something, 104 a piece, maybe 75 a piece. They're just small. So the cool thing about these pieces is I literally took what was in the frame and used them. So like all these little cardboard pieces that would come with a picture frame. Well, this one I kind of actually broke on purpose, but I didn't think about it. Jared was not thinking when he ripped this one out. So I probably should have kept the little cardboard piece on the back that holds it up like you would a normal typical frame. But I was very resourceful. I didn't have a canvas that would specifically fit these. So if you go to Hobby Lobby and you don't have a canvas, you can use the cardboard. Just paint a little bit of black acrylics on it. It'll be like, instead of black like this, it'll be more towards the color that's kind of stuck there. That's the kind of cardboard brown on the other side. I just painted it with acrylics so that I could do night scenes on them and work with it that way. And I even use the glass covering. Worst case, you can use those. They are fairly matching, sure. Okay, a buddy of mine just contacted me back. I was gonna give away a couple frames because I got too many, and it's kind of bugging me just a little bit. Well, yeah, if you ever find yourself lacking frames and you want to get a frame, go to like Hobby Lobby or Walmart or something, buy one of their frames that you like, paint on the glass or on the cardboard thing that has a little frame, the little holder. It'll have some little holder like here. I actually have an example right here. This little holder thing, this piece. You just paint on it with acrylic and then paint over that with oil or acrylic, doesn't matter. But have one base layer of acrylics on it so that nothing shows through. It's just a little neat trick for anybody who wants to get a nice frame for a picture that may cost like, I don't know, 5, 10, 20 bucks, but you don't want to go buy an extra frame for or a canvas for it. And these are specifically for the small ones. If you're going to get a big frame, you want to get a canvas. You can't pull it off necessarily as nicely as you would with the glass as you would a canvas. Canvases are better. But just an idea for y'all. Just being resourceful. So now I've got 2 pieces in their frames. Now to get this little glass piece that matches this one, or I can get the canvas for the. You know what? I can actually do this. So that one's missing a piece. Poop. But that's okay. You know what? I can work with that. I'm sure they won't really notice. And if they do, oh well. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take the same little black piece with the matting, and I'm intentionally flipping the matting, this little matting piece, upside down, because on the other side it's like white and black, as you can see. So I'm flipping it upside down so that you don't get paint on the nice side, and then I'm painting on the black part. So it's going to be like that. Okay? Super easy. And it's super safe. It protects your matting so that if you do want matting, you can. You can use it. So I'm going to be very, very careful on this part not to break anything off while I paint on it. And also I'm going to be signing the other pieces while I'm thinking about it. Okay, that one's already signed. Cool. Sorry about that. Somebody called me for a half a second. All right. Got this one signed. Good to go. With my little squiggly cursive in the bottom right. Well, yeah, it's bottom right. And then next line of business. Clean the brush. And then we work on the small paint. So what do y'all think should be on this one? I've only got like 10 minutes to work on this to mess around. And this one is ultimately not going to be in there the first couple of days. This one I'm going to wait until it dries for a couple days, or maybe even like at least until I finish it, and then maybe wait 2 days so it has time to dry ish. So let's see here. I think I'm tired of painting mountains, so I'm going to paint something like just a couple waterfalls, then a nice body water with surrounding bushes. And we'll be using a smaller brush. Here we go. Yes, come up with ideas, y'all. I am absolutely open to y'all's ideas right now. Just horsing around with this one. Because if it doesn't sell, I'm not worried about it. I mean, it's just a more of a fun event, even though there's potential for it to sell. I'm not really particularly worried about it. So who else other than me and Jennifer went over to the prophetic worship thing? Okay, let me turn my camera a little bit, just so that when I lean back, I don't have to worry about it cutting off my face. So who else went to the prophetic worship thing? The intensive that was online with Todd White and Rick Pino. If you did, let me know. If you didn't, it was a lot of fun. It was free, and there was a lot that you could have learned. And also, just on a random note, I just ordered my first. I think I already told y'all, but I'm excited about it, so I'm going to tell y'all anyway. I ordered my first bottle of Gamvar, or it's like a type of varnish for your paintings. Which, whenever your painting completely dries, and I mean like for 6+ months, it does a lot of good for your painting. It actually brings out the colors. It may have a little bit more of a gloss and a glare, but it actually brings out the colors, makes it look more crisp. So I'm excited for that to come in. It's probably going to be like another week or so before I can see it. I think it's coming in on the 28th ish time frame. That's about when it said it was coming in, but who knows? I mean, it'll be really nice for me once I get it. I have tons of paintings that have been drying for like 6 months plus, so we'll see how well it really works. All my mentors have been like, get varnish, get the professional varnish, and I'm like, okay, sure, yeah, I'll get it. Yep, told them that for 6 months, and now I'm like, okay, I really need to get this. You put it on after 6 months of drying. Well, if it's oil paint, yes. Let me clarify that. If it's oil paint, yes. If it's acrylic paint, that's a completely different story. I think you wait for maybe like once it's no longer tacky. That's I think when you would do it for acrylics. I haven't done too much research on acrylics, but I do know it's a lot shorter than it would be for, oils. Oils take almost a freaking 6-month period to completely dry, especially if you've got it nice and thin or nice and thick. And I love painting thick. So most of my paintings would probably take about that time, because if you push it and it still gives, you don't want to put varnish on it. And by gives, I mean you can still make a dent in it without breaking it, or you can put a dent in it and it still feels squishy. That means it's still wet on the inside, and you don't want to do that, because it's for some, I think the chemicals would actually strip the paint away. Unless you're using a retouch varnish. That's a different story. Retouch is a temporary solution if you're trying to do what I'm doing and get it in. Speaking of which, that's actually not a bad idea. Dadgummit. I should have thought about that. Oh well. You know what? Lesson learned. Now I'm gonna have to go buy some retouch varnish too. Retouch varnish is like if you're right. Okay, 1 second. I have college class at 7:30, so I'll have to leave. I'll come back and finish watching. Well, I'm not gonna be here too much longer, but yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to seeing you if I'm still on. I'm gonna have to dip out here because the cutoff time for bringing your stuff, I believe, is like right at 9 Central. Yeah. All right. So now we've got all this covered in blue. I'm doing mostly oils now because I picked them up by accident. Okay. It's good to kind of get the feel for both. Oils frustrated the crap out of me when I first started, but I stuck with it because I knew all the best artists were using it, and I didn't like how when acrylics finished, it looked matte, like very, very flat and matty. I did not like that. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna see what oil's about. And they do finish with a little bit more of like a glossy finish when you do finish them, and that's without even putting a varnish on. But when you put the varnish on, it just looks like it just glows. I've seen people on YouTube, professionals doing that, and it's like, wow. I don't know why I haven't been doing this for years. I must have. I really should have paid more attention to what my mentor told me instead of thinking, "Oh, I know better." I didn't. I did not. Jerry did not know better. Okay. So, next line of business. Go into some white. And I'm trying to keep it as nice and thick, well, actually nice and thin as possible on the brush. So, Jennifer, are you actually using... That's funny. It does happen. You don't pay attention and then you get screwed. But are you using acrylics? I can't remember. All right, so I'm just going to take it into the bottom corner. As a matter of fact, I'm just going to bring y'all up as close as possible. Let go. Let go. Got so much stuff here. I'm going to just try to paint here as much as possible, just show y'all what I'm doing. So I'm just going to kind of draw a line right here. Just an imaginary line right here. Or just a very small line, not imaginary. But then I'm going to go into some white on both sides, mind you. Both sides are white. This one's kind of no oil. So you're working on oil? Maybe, yes, no. So I'm taking white on both sides, and I'm going to do cross strokes all the way around. Typically, I would use the other brush, but I want to kind of fine tune it so I can leave some darker spots in it as well. Maybe have like a little river type scene. Yeah, I like the sound of that. Let's actually kind of formulate that. And then we'll have, here's another bank. Maybe we've got some sort of mountainish thing right there. I'm just going to wipe off the brush where there was any sort of other colors right there. Now I've got both white on both sides. Yes, oil paints right now. Awesome. Okay, so I'm just going to do those crisscross strokes like I was saying, because we're going to have our moon source or our light source right here as our moon. Here, maybe now y'all can see a little bit better. And I'm kind of just using the edge, and I'm intentionally keeping it to the edge with where I've been painting on both sides. Instead of turning my brush this way where I'd have a lot more white, I've got the edge where I've got just strictly blue on both sides, and I'm just barely grazing it with one side. Okay, the oils definitely blend better. Yes, oils are easier to blend just because you don't have to come back and spray them every 5 seconds. I like working with oils for that reason, because you can work on them longer. I don't like working particularly fast, even though I do work semi-fast for an oil artist. Okay, then I'm going to have it right here. And then right over here. And maybe we'll have just a little bit back here. I'm just going to leave that darker. Yes. And then we're going to work down a little bit, just like that. So now this is what we have on our canvas. We still don't have our super white center with the moon. It's just that particular spot is going to have our moon. I'm just going to take my pinky, dip it in, and just boop, hit it with a dot. That's typically how I do my paintings now with my, whenever I've got the oils. Now, where's my palette knife? There you are. All right, now just going into some ultramarine blue. Actually, we're going into a lot of it. I really hope when I flip this sucker over, it's not going to be blue. That would actually kind of backfire. Oh well. You know, we'll figure that out as it goes. Worst case, I'll just take it off and I don't have to mat it. There we go. Let's go into that. More of that blue. So typically I would be using phthalo blue to mix up my purples and browns and stuff. But just for the sake of time, I'm not even going to bother messing with that. I'm just going to go into straight ultramarine blue and then crimson to make my darkest colors. Maybe we'll get a little bit of yellow here, just about the edge of a knife. Okay, so I went from the light source. Yeah, I went from the light source and worked in a circle around it and back and forth. And all the way out, yes. That is exactly right. That's what I did. Because when you're real close to your light source, it's going to be brightest. When it's further away, it's not going to be brightest. Okay, so on my palette, I've got about that much paint. It's actually a decent amount for this painting, even though it's a small painting. It's still a decent amount. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take about that much crimson on it, and I'm just going to, well, it's not crimson, but it's actually purple. And I'm going to keep it more towards the blue side, so it looks further away. And I'm even going to add a little bit of white, just a smidge. We don't need much. It needs to look further away than most of the other painting. So, let's see. I think we're going to add a couple trees in the back. So I'm just going to wipe that off actually. So, going to take the small edge of the knife and cover it with paint, or get a big block or a big scratch of paint on it. I'm just going to kind of start jagging in some trees here and there, or some sticks or rocks or whatnot. Just whatever's here. I'm just kind of lifting it up. And then when it starts disappearing, I'll just go back and reload it. And because I've kind of illuminated almost like a path right here, I'm going to follow it. And then the closer I get, the darker I'm going to get. And then I'm going to actually kind of dab the tops. And these are just going to be the tree trunks and stuff. Eventually I'll come over the tops of these guys right here. So we're going to use this guy. I'm going to go into some of that same color that we were using on the other side. I'm just going to use the corners. Then on the opposite edges, then you can just flip this brush over from the dark side and then go into white. And it's okay if the purple gets in and mixes in. Then you're just going to touch little bits of the top of it and on the edges. Wherever you think that light source might hit it, that's where you're going to touch. Even if we have stars. And I'm going to include stars in this, so that's why I'm touching the tops of these as well. all around. So even back here, I'm just going to be kind of touching the tops of them. They're going to look a little further away. All right. So now since I'm getting a little bit closer to the light source, and here's what I got so far. It's kind of a little bit further away. Since I'm getting a little bit further away from the light source, I'm going to use more red, or crimson in this case. As a matter of fact, I'm going to use that same brush, even though it's got a little bit of that blue in it. I'm just going to start tapping in a few bushes and stuff. A little grass and stuff here and there. It's kind of hard to see because you're not right up on it, but it'll be easier to see once you get a little bit closer. And I'm just going back in to the white and reloading every so often once I do like maybe 3 or 4 strokes. I'm just touching it and pulling. Just little bitty touches and pulls. Then flip it over once you've got all that dark color on there and just tap. And don't forget to reload it into white if you have to. And you can just touch it if you want to. You don't even have to pull it down. You can just go in and tap it. Occasionally I'm actually going over and just tapping it. And the further away, it's okay that you let the light fade and fade and fade. So right here, I think we're going to also have one more tree. Just one. This is going to be our darkest tree. He's going to have the most details in him compared to the rest. And I'm going to intentionally keep the paint on the base layer real thin so that I can come over it with thicker paint for the highlights and for the shadows, or not even the shadows. It's more like the back, like the glow. So whenever you're painting, there's like a reflective light that you can see on the. Okay, let me turn this way. There's like a reflective light that you can see off of, say for instance, moonlight's striking down and hitting the ground, and the ground reflects a little bit of that light, and it hits the tree, or the branches on the bottom and on the sides. You can see that same reflection on the tree itself. So that's what I'm going to try to emulate right now. Let's try to scrape that off just a wee bit. There. And that's just the base layer. The real darks, oops, it's over here. All these darks, that's just the base layer. I'm trying to keep it as thin as possible. Yes, it does have some thick spots, but you can just go over and scrape it off with your knife. But you don't want to scrape it entirely off just because you want to keep that dark color there. You don't want that light behind it to show too much. There we go. Now you go into a little bit of that white, and you can take some blue if you want, or you can take yellow. Either way, they both work. I see the tree. Yes. Oh shoot! I completely missed a certain spot too. Oops. When did I get that on my finger? Oh, well, looks like you're gonna have to come up, bud. Glad to have you on there. No, get off. All right. So I think I'm gonna put like one more dab of that nice color there. And now the objective is just to put on a few highlights on the tree itself, on the branches, before I start putting on, oh goodness. I'm going to go around, just hit some pale yellow lights, just to indicate where the moonlight might strike on this tree. And it's okay if it's not perfect because, you know, we're not aiming for perfection, it's art. You want to get it as close as possible, but if you can't, that is quite all right. Just work as close as you can. So I've used a little bit of yellow and even some crimson, but barely any. It was more like I accidentally dragged in some of this. But it was yellow and white to make the highlights on this tree. And then just wipe off the knife every time you think you got too much of that on there. And go back into it. Just tap it on. Just nice like that. You can pull it down if you want, and then drag it. That works just as nicely. Just like that. You can take the same highlight thing over to the back as well if you want. Just kind of tap it on there, just like so. Just giving the indications that there are some trees there, some branches. Not too many, but there's some. And if you want, you can actually take your knife and then kind of scrape it in a little bit further and kind of tone down the light. You don't have to, but this is just an easy way to be like, hey, you know, there's light there, there's some sort of formations, but you know, it's not super obvious. And you can take that same color and just kind of tap in some leaves if you want, or you do what I'm going to do, and you're going to take that dark color that you've mixed earlier, that reddish color, that, well, more like dark purple color, that's towards the red side. Get it on your brush, and then start tapping it in. You want it thin on your brush so that you can shape it out. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to actually blend out the sky. Oh well. There, we can just do that right now, just a little bit. There we go. There, now it's a lot softer, which is more what I was trying to go for. And I'm really working out of order, so just for the sake of speed. So next line of business, take a little bit of white. We're gonna make some little moonlight reflections on the water. Just gonna tap it in. Then you can scrape it and scrub it if you want. And then to the closest to the moon is where I'm going to put my whitest white intentionally. There we go. Which technique are you talking about? It does go like 30 seconds. Like there's a 30-second buffer time. So give me a little bit more than that if you want a little bit more. Well, just so I understand what you're talking about. Because I don't know which technique you're talking about. I don't know if you're talking about the blending technique, the water, or what. The highlights? Oh, for the trees? Yeah, it's super easy. Anybody can do it. Next line of business, we're going to go over the tops of some of these guys with some white. Actually, not even the tops, just the, we're going around them. Some white for highlights. They're going to have some nice, you know what, I'm going to get rid of that color right there. We don't want it to be we don't want it to be warmer for the highlights. We want the highlights to be cooler, so more towards the blue side or just solid white, either way. So I'm going to get the bigger brush since it's clean. I'm going to tap into some white and then maybe even a little bit of blue. Yeah, let's just tap just a teensy bit into some blue. And then we're going to just tap around like this. Just like you can see some of the bottom of the edges and then the tops. Ta-da! Now all that's left is to put our moon in. A little tiny moon. Actually, no, that's not all that's left, but it's going to be pretty close. I've still got to add some blues, some white and blue to the outsides of the tree. But other than that, I'm going to be pretty close to done. There we go. Okay, I'm going to try to show you all as much as possible. So now that all this is covered up with leaves and stuff, I'm going to go over the backs of this. And then, actually, real quick before I forget, I'm just going to make myself a nice little moon. And I'm going to have to do it with my other finger because that one's got purple on it. Oop. Okay, wipe off my finger. There's the moon, and all you have to do is just kind of cut the bottom of the moon off, just to look like you got a little bit of water line there. There we go. And I'm just going to kind of cut right around here. There. And then likewise, I'm just going to wipe that knife off just real quick. Go back into some white, or attempt to, on the smaller edge of the knife. And I'm going to hit this side of the tree. Boom. Nope, 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 nope. There we go. There, just going to scrape it in just a little bit to where it looks like it's got some ocean or water side there. You could even take the tip of the knife as well, which is what I'm about to do, and then just scrape it in. And then you can see a little bit of the water line. Okay, now for the detail brush. I'm going to go into that darker color right here. Purple. It's purple. I'm going to tap in right around this edge. It's kind of turning into a muddy mess here, so bear with me. Don't cover all your limbs though. You just want to cover a little bit, and it's going to be blue light mostly. Just starlight from the top. It's going to be the highlights. Wipe off that brush real good. And I'm going into the microscopic brush, into some blue. This one. And I'm just going to be poking in some highlights. And you have to go in repeatedly. Dipping your brush back in. And it is turning muddy at this point, so typically I would have wiped it off or waited for it to dry or just got a bigger brush, but you know, I don't have too much time to work on this, so that is what we're going to do for now. And I think the last line of business is to get a signature, so what we're going to do is just going to take the palette knife, tip the knife, and then just scribble it in. Thanks for showing that. I'm going to try that tonight. Yeah, go right ahead and do it. I want to see it. So just J. Scribble. And then it's done. I'm not going to put in any more details on it. I could, but it would take more time than I'm willing to spend on it for $75 or $100. Let's take it off real quick. There we go. That actually looks kind of neat without the, take a look. Doesn't that look cool? That's kind of neat. I think that was good. You know, I think I'm just going to leave this one as it is. I'm not going to even do put this in the frame. I'm going to put the glass one in the frame. And I'm just going to save this. And I'm going to do the same thing with this, with another glass one like that. If y'all want that one, no, never mind. Where did that go? Here it is. So I did the same thing with the same piece. This is just the glass piece, and this goes with it. Actually, originally it went on top, but I painted this black, so that is what I'm going to be painting on next. But I'm not going to do that right now because I actually have to get these things over there ASAP. So if y'all have any questions, y'all feel free to ask them while you still have me. I'll be here for like another 2-3 minutes while I'm cleaning off my palette and stuff. Oh goodness. I feel like this looks like something you'd get out of some sort of cartoon book or something. It's nifty. Good luck with everything. That's exciting. Appreciate it. All right, I'm going to go. Appreciate y'all for joining me. And hope this blessed y'all. Hope this helped. I've got nothing else for y'all. Have a good night. Bye.